Hello, my beautiful souls. Welcome to the new episode of the Soulful Contributors podcast. My name is Taja Karner, and today I wanna talk about social media because I think we can all relate that we have kind of like a love and hate relationship with social media. And there are so many ways how we can use social media as a good tool for awakening, for embracing parts of ourselves that we are maybe uncomfortable with. And without even being aware of it, I've been using internet and social media since like probably 2014. Yeah. When I moved abroad as a powerful tool for accepting myself. So I want to talk about it more because I think it can benefit a lot of people, and it might also bring you a little different approach, a little different view on social media and how it can be used in your own advantage. So I'm not gonna talk about like the importance of following the right people because obviously that's a huge thing, but what I want to share today is more about how to share and express yourself through social media in a way that is authentic and genuine to you, and how you can use that as a tool for starting to embrace or starting to accept different parts of yourself. So, for example, social media is a huge representation of what parts of ourselves we are comfortable with sharing. So usually it's like we are sharing more or less the same stuff. We are sharing more or less the same faces. Like if you go and look at your pictures, you will see that usually, if you're not aware of it or if you're doing it subconsciously, you usually have the same expression on your face on most of the pictures. Especially if someone else is taking pictures of you, we go into making our cute face, and that's the expression that we share with the world. And it's usually we have the certain idea of how we have to present ourselves to be accepted. So there is, we all have this. It's not like I'm judging that because that's normal, and like I'm having it as well. And there are like, when I scroll through my social media, I can see like, oh my God, it's again the same face, the same smile, the same eyes. It's just like I'm just programmed to just do the same kind of thing because on some level, I think that maybe that's the only thing that is acceptable. And then I feel like we get even more conditioned when we are sharing these things and they're accepted and they're liked and everyone is telling us that we look beautiful or whatever. And then it's kind of like, we go again, we need another picture like this, and it fills us with some kind of self-confidence after we share it or whatever. One thing that we have to acknowledge before diving deeper is definitely our fear of being judged and our fear of what will other people say. First of all, I don't think that we can ever get rid of this fear. Some people will say to you, I don't freaking care what other people say, which might be true on a conscious level, like it doesn't influence their way of living. However, on a subconscious level, it's a program that I don't think we are able to totally get rid of it because it's a part of being human. And I think it's deeply connected also to our history and the way the society worked in the past. Because let's be honest, I think it's only in the past 50 years maybe that we are safe to say what we want to say. And there's not going to be immediately a police or a government or someone behind our back and doing some crazy shit with us. But even to this day, it's still, there are still things happening. I don't want to go into the political stuff. However, I know or I'm aware that in the past, if I said something wrong, I could die from that. And my whole body knows that, because everything that help my ancestors survive got engraved into my DNA. It's kind of a subconscious belief that is helping me to survive. And that subconscious belief is that I have to be careful what I share with the world. I have to be careful what I say, how I express myself, because if I do something wrong, I might die. And of course, like, if this is the base of our fear of being judged or our fear of what other people say, it's normal that we will feel scared to share something we are not totally comfortable with. And my personal opinion is that I want to be free as much as I can be free with expressing myself. I want to express myself the way I want to express myself. And in the end, I look at everything that is happening here is a game, and social media is a tool, so I can free myself from limitations of who I have to be, and I can free myself from this idea of like, how do I have to, behave, or how do I have to present myself to be accepted. But a lot of people are using social media in a different scale, so they're using it to kind of like prove to the world that they are accepted, or look at me, I have this, so like me for that, or love me for this, or whatever. So it's a lot of, I don't know, I feel like the whole social media is filled with look at me, I'm good enough, give me validation that I'm good enough. And on a subconscious level, I think we are all craving that validation. We are all craving someone else to tell us that we are good enough. However, you can use the social media as a tool for yourself and for your own for yourself to level up your level of confidence, or like the real confidence. I'm not talking about the confidence that comes from the likes, but the real confidence that comes from you showing to the world who you really are, and you being okay with that, and you realizing that you didn't die because you show that parts of yourself. And that gives you a certain strength that it's like you cannot get anywhere else. So I'll share with you my perception of social media and how I've been using it for now like probably 6-7 years to express my parts of myself that I was uncomfortable with, and therefore free myself from that constant belief that someone else have to validate me, or that they have to, tell me that I'm good enough so that I will feel good enough. So for me, it all started back in, I think it was 2014 or 15, when I started recording videos. At that point, I had a brand, Ordinary Cookie. What I wanted to represent to the world is that I'm just an ordinary human. And people at that point, when I moved to Canada, they called me, "You're such a tough cookie." And I was like, no, I'm just an ordinary cookie. If I can do it, you can do it. That was my thing that I want to share with the world. So I started recording videos, and it was one video per day. And I first recorded for my own sake, for like, just trying to express myself or get out to the to the video what I was going through in the day. I think I shared the story in some other podcast already, so I'm not gonna go too much into details. However, at some point, I realized, that I'm really afraid of what will other people say if they saw this. So I was like, okay, do you want to be free from this fear? Because if you really want to be free from this fear, then you have to share these videos. That was my like self-talk that I had. And that's probably the difference between me and some other people that are curious why they don't grow so fast. Because one thing that I know, it's engraved within me, and I know that for a lot of people it doesn't come as natural as for me, is the courage to follow my inner voice. So there was, I don't know, there was just something within me that if I'm aware that a certain step will help me grow, and that certain thing will help me free myself from certain limitations, I just have to do it. There's like no way for me to not do it. And if I like run away from doing it, I feel like that feeling is chasing me, and within like a month I feel like, you know, I can't breathe anymore, and then I'm just like, oh fuck, I have to do it. So that's like something that is engraved in me. So I do believe that I have a lot of courage when it comes to, you know, showing myself to the world, and showing my limitations to the world, because if I feel like I have to share it, I will share it. And that's something that maybe doesn't come as natural to other people, but I still believe that you can push yourself and just do the thing. Anyway, so at that point I realized, okay, you want to get rid of that fear, you have to publish this on social media. So I started uploading videos on YouTube, and then I shared it on my Facebook profile. And first thing, the feedback wasn't just positive. There were some people that were like, oh, it's good to see you, blah, 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 blah. There was a lot of people that said my English is terrible, and what the fuck am I doing? And, you know, there were a lot of people tagging each other in my comments and being like, ha ha ha, have you look at this? It's so weird, whatever. So I went through that period, but it's funny that even though I got a lot of negative feedback, there was something within me that changed once I shared those videos. Because at some level, it was like a 30 videos, and some videos were like joyful and fun and exciting, and other videos were like I was crying and I had a bad day or whatever it was. And once I shared this with the world, and I'm like, you know, some videos had only like 20 views or whatever, but there was a part of me that believed that now that I shared this with the world, I don't need to pretend anymore. And like I just kind of start seeing this as like, oh, now I shared my deepest self with the world, and now I no longer need to fake that I'm perfect, because now everyone knows that I'm not perfect. And that was the first time that I feel liberation from sharing something on social media. And from that point on, I started using social media as a tool for sharing stuff about myself that I was uncomfortable with, but I knew that if I'm gonna share it, I'm gonna free myself and gain that confidence back. This is something that it might not resonate with you, like, you know, take it or leave it, but I just wanna share it with you because I think that it can benefit a lot of people if you start using this approach and this way of contributing your, you know, content to the social media. So so then I realized that, okay, whatever I'm comfortable with, it wasn't like I was trying to force myself to share, you know, just pictures of me that are, you know, weird or crazy, or that I'm crying on the picture or whatever. I never like wanted to force myself into these things. Like it wasn't like I planned, oh, which part of me I'm still uncomfortable. Oh, okay, I want to share it. But it came natural. It was like I had a certain period where I was like feeling, oh, you know, I'm just in this state and I just trying to, you know, look perfect all the time, and I'm like, oh fuck, I can't be perfect. I am not perfect. And I'm like, okay, I will share this because that will set me free from that image that I'm creating around me, or in general, it's just all a battle within yourself. It just, whatever you do with social media, it's for you. It's not for other people. It's always like internal dialogue. So yeah, so it's very interesting to me. Like, okay, I'll go a step back. When you share something that you're uncomfortable with, you have to be okay with whatever comments will come. That's something that was a bit challenging for me at first. But all I did was just delete the comment, and I was like, fuck you. Because, yeah, for me, it's like no point going into arguments. It's also like, I don't want to have this kind of people around me. I'm just like, immediately, you give me a bad comment, okay, you're blocked, you're out of here. So you have to have that level of like boundaries that you wanted to keep. And it's also like important to do it from a state of like, I'm doing this for myself. Because a lot of people, I think, are using social media as a call for attention. And I just want you to kind of take a moment and ask yourself, what's your use of social media? And if you are not a content provider yet, I definitely invite you to become a content provider, because you have something important to share. You have a story to share, you have something to share, and it doesn't matter with how many people it resonates. There is something within you that will shift once you share it with the world. And I'm 100% sure that there are certain things that you feel pulled to share, but maybe you're still afraid. Maybe you still feel like, I don't know how it's going to be accepted. I don't know what's going to come out of it. It doesn't matter what comes out of it. It doesn't matter how it's accepted. And if you start using social media as your own tool of expressing yourself and as a tool for helping you become comfortable with parts of you that are usually hiding, I cannot put it in words how much this will help you. It's important, of course, to not get stuck on the bad comments and then identify with them, because they have nothing to do with you. There's always like someone that won't like whatever you're doing. But it really depends on what's your intention behind it and how you approach a certain thing. And why I'm sharing this episode right now is because I'm currently in a stage where I'm gonna start sharing some stuff that I'm uncomfortable with, or I used to be. Now I feel like pretty okay with that. And I wanna address it more, and I wanna basically invite more people to do the same, because I deeply believe that all parts of us matter, and you have different, we're all like a rainbow. We have every single color possible. We have all the emotions within us. And if you want to live this life fully, you have to accept that you are colorful, that you are full of emotions, that you are full of different traits. And if you are still trying to suppress some parts of you, they gonna chase you. It's like whatever you try to, resist, it will come back. It will persist even more. And it's funny because if we feel like, oh, we have to be perfect, and I don't like that part of myself that is, judgmental, and you always try to suppress that judgmental part of you. Don't judge, don't be like that, don't do that, don't be hateful, don't be this. Of course, you're gonna be more judgmental and more hateful and more triggered by other people, because you are resisting that part of yourself, and that part of yourself wants your attention, and so it's kicking back. So what I realized for myself is like, if I see that there's a certain trait that is coming up, a certain part of me that wants to come up, I let it come up and be like, oh, I'm very judgmental today. Okay, that's fine. I'm just like a weather, it's not like I can judge this earth by the weather it has, It's like, it's just a bad day, whatever, you're judgmental. Cool, be judgmental, gossip about people, whatever. Just don't identify with it and don't go there like, every single moment in your life. But as long as you, and that's what I realized for myself, if I acknowledge it and if I see it for the way it is, and be like, okay, I'm very judgmental today, I have a lot of hate for this and this and this person or whatever, and I'm like, okay, maybe I even project it on myself and be like, okay, what part of me I still judgmental towards, or I feel hate towards, and then I'm like looking into that. But the more I'm like accepting it and seeing it as the way it is, the less power it has over me. And it just comes and goes. It doesn't stay there. But if I'm resisting it, then of course it stays there and it's chasing me and I'm going crazy. So this is something that I'm using daily to overcome my weather. Is just to accept it, to just be, it's fine. However, there are certain parts of me that I'm like, okay, I still feel suppressed, or I still feel like it's not appropriate to show them to the world. And like when I'm thinking about this part of myself, I see myself being choked and suppressed and belittled, and it just like all I want to do is like free myself from that limitations and bring that parts out. But I know that if the first step is bringing that parts out when I am, by myself. That's always the first part for me. So if I feel like my anger is not accepted, or I shouldn't share it with the world, I first express it behind the closed doors, get comfortable with it. Then the second, for example, is my sexuality. I feel like I shouldn't share it with the world. It's like not accepted. People will judge me. People will call me names or whatever. Okay, I'm gonna first express it within the closed doors, try to bring it out and be comfortable with it. But there is always a point where I'm like, okay, I'm getting comfortable with it. Now I want to bring that part of me to my everyday life. I want to share it with the world. And there comes a moment when I'm like, okay, if I want to share this in the real life, so in a day-to-day life when I'm meeting people, I feel like I have to warn them through social media. It's weird. It's just kind of like, okay, I first have to share a picture of me being really angry or being really sexy or whatever, so that people see, oh, she's awakening now this part of herself and that's who she is now, and that's fine. I don't know, that's just my perception. It like I said, it has nothing to do with the way people perceive what I'm sharing. It has everything to do with the meaning I'm giving to me sharing this stuff. So it's kind of like, if I come to the point of like, oh, I can't suppress that anymore, it's like I just have to let it out. There comes a period where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let it out on social media. And that's my way of liberating myself from limitations. And I want to use this more and more in the future. So you will see my profile, Soulful Contributor, being used in that essence, in just like sharing my uncomfortable parts, sharing parts of myself that I'm like trying to suppress, or that I'm not 100% comfortable with bringing online yet. But I know that every single time I'm gonna share a picture like that or a video or whatever it is, there's something within me that's gonna be freed. And that's what I'm craving. Like, I crave freedom to be me fully, like without anyone saying me this is wrong or this shouldn't be like that. And it's funny because, like, now that I have this intention of just like, okay, as soon as I share something, I feel free of expressing it more in day-to-day life. It's funny because all of a sudden, it's just like some things that I was so afraid of sharing or telling to the world, I just start telling to everyone, my family, my friends, everyone just keep hearing that. And sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, oh, you really wasn't, I wasn't like that before. And it's always like fascinating to me to see how fast I can change if I'm willing to show this to the world. So that's why I'm saying that you can use social media as something very, very, very powerful. The only condition is, of course, to not take comments personally. I think I'm like out of that period where I was affected by comments. And it's also, I think I'm also out of that period where there is a lot of negative comments. Because in the beginning, there were few. And then as time goes by, there were more. And then I had a period of like having hateful comments every single time I would share something. Like all the time. And now I feel like I'm in a period of like, oh, people got used to me sharing stuff like that. They're okay with it, or they just realize that I won't give up. So they gave up writing bad comments, whatever. But that doesn't mean that it never happens again. They're still happening. There's still people hating. There's still people being like, especially if you want to, for example, for me now, like I want to share pictures of myself where I see myself as sexy, because that's something that's fascinating to me, that I am probably still more comfortable sharing a photo of me crying and looking, without makeup and just being all cried and red and all this stuff, than I am to share the photo of me where I'm sexy. That's fascinating to me, because a lot of women would prefer, or it's natural, that's like the only photos they are showing are the sexy photos. And they would be like, hell no to photos of me crying. But I'm like, nope, you can see me crying. That's like, I posted my first video when I cried in 2015, and it's okay, it's normal. But me being sexy and showing parts of my body, oh, hell no, we're not going there. So, yeah, that's something that I feel like I still have a lot of limitations, and I want to free myself from them, because of course I want to like be free with my body. I want to show my body the way I want to show my body, because that's who I am. It's not like I'm going to get a new body next year, or it's not like I'm going to, stay that young for the rest of my life. And if I want to express myself, when should I, if not now? However, I'm aware that this could look like being attention seeker, or this could look like, oh, something went wrong with her, or now that she's single, she went crazy. She's just like a whore. She's just trying to get attention, or whatever, There can be a lot of things that will come into people's mind. But I don't really care. I don't want to know what people are thinking. I just like, whatever. There is a subconscious fear of my body when I'm sharing stuff, or when I'm taking photo shoots. I'm like, oh, it's so freaking scary for me to post like that. But at the same time, there is something liberating, and that's what I'm searching for. And if you make a conscious decision to not be affected by the negative comments, you might still be triggered. That's fine. But as long as you know that this is not going to define you, you can go on and share whatever you want to share, and use your social media for a tool of embracing yourself, embracing all parts of you, and to finally live this life free and authentic and joyful as you want to be. So yeah, this is my invitation to you. Also, my invitation to myself to really go on with this project, because I've been thinking about this whole movement of all parts of me matter for over a year now, but I wasn't courageous enough to do the steps. So now I'm slowly embracing different parts of me, showing it with the world, talking about this. So this is it, basically. That's all I wanted to share for now. I'm going to do more episodes around this topic in the future. And if there's anything you want to ask me, anything you want me to talk about, please share me a private message. I would love to hear from you. But thank you so much for listening, and let's embrace ourselves together through social media. Thank you, and have a lovely day, and talk to you soon. Bye bye.